Blangmire, my favorite divine skill unit from the Divine's era, from the Fated One side, and also one of my favorite unit of all time purely because it's a Dark State unit that was drawn by one of my favorite artists of all time.
Shut up, simp.
So what would happen if that particular unit get an update that a lot of people doesn't seem to be happy about? Well, I'm on the opposite train because personally for me, Bulbasaur is cool, but how good is Blangmire Nexus and how much it improved Blangmire as we see it? That is exactly what I'm gonna be talking about today. So what makes him so strong and still occasionally top once in a while? Well, it all boils down to his playstyle, hitting a really high number and close game as soon as possible with his divine skill, which essentially shut down all form of PGs, and on top of that, all forms of Vanguard defensive skill that include Versatile 6 damage heal. On top of cards like Rock, which has a really high number, and Zamuk that has a consistent critical, Blangmire became a deck that will always pressure your opponent regardless of what it does, which makes it harder for opponent to guard for their divine turn. The problem with Blangmire has always kind of boils down to three different things. First off, it kind of die off without divine skill. So if your opponent survive the divine skill, the chance of you winning drops significantly because not only you don't have enough resource to pay for the Blangmire skill, but also your deck is running out. Secondly, the deck is quite piece reliant. Yes, we do have a lot of cards that does help you to go through those cards very quickly. The problem with those cards is that you need all of them together. Very similar case to Leviras, where when all the stones are together, it performs a reality bending level of power. And the same can be said with Blangmire. And last but not least, the RNG factor. A lot of Blangmire skill does require some element of luck on top of the luck you already have to deal with Vanguard in general. So sometimes people found it very inconsistent. The best example for this is the right line. If you cannot get Holoraptor and Vacant Fang skill off properly, your deck not only has a significant verse filter, but also significantly worse hand due to the fact that you are not able to get that additional draw.
That's unfortunate.
So does the new support for Blangmire actually holds up? Well, I would say yes, but not in the lower rarity, as we start off with Cry of the Crow Voltak, the double R for Blangmire. This card has only one skill, where if you have a Blangmire Grade 3 or Greater Vanguard and your Bison have 4 or more face down card, this card gets all of the following. It cannot be chosen by your opponent card effect, it gets the boost, and it gets 5k and shield plus 5k. So this card essentially is, what if you want to run Sakashias but you don't want to run the order? This is the answer for you, and it does have some use in the sense that like 10k shield is very nice, ability to resist its own card effect is very nice, especially Blangmire want your full field to actually hit a high number. But ultimately I feel Voltak is just one of those very powerful cards that is being put on a scale because there are definitely more important cards to run considering some of the other support that we can run in the deck right now, like Elaborate Wizard. This card is a triple R for Blangmire where it has 2 skill. When this unit is placed on Recast Circle from hand, look at top 2 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them and put it into your soul, and put the rest onto the bottom of your deck in any order. And then at the end of the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a Grade 3 or Greater Vanguard with Blangdmire in its card name, counterblast 1, choose a normal unit from your soul and put it into your hand and bind this unit face down. So Elaborate is essentially a more balanced version of Segon, where it doesn't gain additional power while also have to pay additional cost to perform essentially the same task as Segon. But this doesn't mean this is a bad thing, because Elaborate Wizard gives you access to soul, which is really huge deal, as this does kind of force you to program the way you soul charge differently now, as putting PGs, at least the unit PGs, into your soul is actually not bad because you can just get it back using Elaborate Wizard. And if you do want to do so, you can run it with Netherworld Butcher to essentially get a consistent PG loop. I mean, you still need a counterblast and one of the particular card that I'll be talking about right after this, but it's still a consistent PG nonetheless, and that is something quite insane. So you guys might be asking, what is that last card I'm talking about? Well, it's the one that walked away from his original monikers, the Zeros, and that is the one who walked from Zeros, Blangmire Nexus. Nexus. This card has only 2 skills, where this is also regarded as the original Blangmire, and during your turn if you have a card with the same name as this unit
in your soul,
this unit gets all of their divine skill and all of your front row rare card get 5k. This doesn't stack like the Destined King or Fated King. Then act once per turn, this card can be paired with bind a greater or greater card with Blangmire in its card name from your soul face down. Then the actual cost is bind 4 cards from your soul face down. This is a must. Your opponent choose 2 of their own rare card, bind them face down, and this unit gets 5k until end of turn for every 2 face down card in your bind zone. Choose up to 1 face down card in your bind zone, review it, and if the review card is grade 3 or less, call it to rare card circle. If you did not review a card, you may draw a card. So Nexus does introduce something very interesting, and that is the fact that for one, the deck self-built itself because of the Nexus ability to call a card from your bind zone, allowing you to be a little bit more aggressive with what you bind. With things like Ready Rock is now a viable target to be bind face down, as it can be called back to rare card circle with the ability of Nexus, allowing you to extend into more board extension within the same turn. And the fact that the original skill now has more than 1 cost that you can pay is actually a nice thing, considering in the later part of the game you are gonna be struggling to build up your resource. So the fact that you can shorten the amount of resource you need to be paid from 4 cards to a single card is really huge deal, considering you probably will have at least a few Blangmire in soul that went during the soul shard skill anyway. It's a little bit of a shame that the power increment is only to the front row rare card and only up to 5k, but considering the power of the divine skill, 5k does make enough to force 1 additional card to guard on your rare card circle, and this does affect before you apply divine skill and use evoke as well. So overall, what Nexus bring to the deck is a little bit like a midway between Imperial and Vita, where it gives the flexibility to what the deck can do, while also enhance the main end goal of the deck to an extent that you can feel the effect in the actual fight. However, Nexus is far from perfect because for one, you still have to hard draw into those pieces, as he only exists to essentially help you to build the board that is already on the public knowledge field better. Regardless, I do still think Nexus is a huge improvement for Blangmire. Even if it is not perfect, I can see why they cannot go all out on this particular right line. And I mean, more art from Daisuke Izuka sensei is always a plus in my humble opinion. But that's just because I'm a simp for the Izuka sensei.
Shut up, simp!
But what do you guys think? Is Blangmire actually gonna be something you want to try out now? Do leave down in the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub and become a member for some cool perks. This is Mac Mechanic signing out.